Well, good evening, everybody. This is Keith with Positively Osceola, and welcome to another edition of our evening coffee club discussion, which, as I tell you every time, it is authentic. I am really here drinking coffee because that's what I like to do. So doing that for sure. But tonight, very special because we get to be with somebody very special to us, and that is Dr. Simba Wiltz, the CEO from Central Florida Animal Reserve. How are you doing, sir?
Doing all right. Hi, Keith.
So thanks for hanging out with us. I know you're a busy guy, and for sure, if anybody has been out to the reserve, they know that you're busy, you and your team, because you have such a passion out there, and so it keeps you very busy. So for those who may not have been out to the Central Florida Animal, ooh, something just fell. See that? Scared me.
Nice.
A little shade, real life. If you haven't been out there, why don't you explain to those people what the reserve is and what you do out there, basically.
Sure. So Central Florida Animal Reserve is a big cat home, and our primary mission is to take care of big cats. That's going to include your Panthera species, tigers, lions, leopards, cougars, for the duration of their lives. And we are an end-stop facility, so cats that do come to us do stay with us for the duration of their lives. They come from all sorts of circumstances, both benign and sometimes not so benign. But the goal is that the team of volunteers and everyone is going to do what they can to provide them the best life they possibly can have.
I tell you, when we were out there, and it's been a few times now, it is absolutely intriguing. All the animals are very different. I mean, even obviously, I am not there as frequently as you are, but they all seem to have their own big time personalities. Would that be correct?
That is so true, and that's part of the fun of it. Is cats. The joking has always been that dogs have owners and cats have staff, and that's very much the truth. Each cat treats their staff differently depending on who they like, who they don't like, and even those that have their own revolving performance evaluation process, falling in and out of their circles as they desire. It makes it something that is intriguing. It's a relationship, and it can be a lot of work, not just the physical portion, but the interspecies, interpersonal portion.
So something I haven't asked you is probably not all that strange of a question. So certainly we've had my family, we've had the typical domesticated small cat in our home, cats in our home, and cats always to me were the personality of pet me, don't pet me, pet me, don't pet me, oh, pet me, don't pet me. Does that transfer to the big cats as well?
It's a little bit different, and that cat contract that you talk about is certainly possible. The thing about cats is just how they're built. Physically, a cat has to address a lot of challenges in their environment, and they have to be really quick with their reflexes. So they've got kind of hair trigger adrenal glands where if you trigger it, then it can sometimes just go all the way, and you will just have to accept the consequences. But for the most part, our guys, they tend to be still creatures of habit. If you decide that you're going to form a relationship with them, and that relationship is based off of contact and a discussion that lasts a certain period of time, then that's the amount of time that it lasts. And if you change that rule, then you should certainly be prepared to negotiate for whatever next step could happen.
Nice. I think we've got a photo real quick if I can remember to get to it. There you go, and there's that. So that would be one of your tigers. Yeah, great. And one of the younger animals out there, I believe, if I'm correct.
Yep. Our young fellow Ralph, who is going to be making 4. And he's a lot of fun because he is still young. And I jokingly call him like a tween in some regards.
Right.
In one part, he wants to be grown up, and the next part, he still wants to be a cub. And depending on what day it is, that's going to be what attitude he takes.
Well, so why don't we move to what we talked about a little bit? So why don't you explain what we're doing right now, really what you're doing right now, which is CFAR and beyond. Why don't you explain that to people and kind of maybe let them know how they can engage, how they can witness what you've been doing out there?
So CFAR and Beyond is one of our first forays into a more formal educational miniseries. One of the great strengths of an organization as attuned to the cats and as old as we are, we've been doing it for over 20 years, is that we have a wealth of information about the cats and about their lives and some of the things that they can teach society in that regard. And so this is an effort to go digital with that. It's perfect timing with everybody staying at home and needing content. We want to include our voice in that content and really fulfill that central mission of being able to engage and hopefully develop a sense of conservation through our educational strategy, and also to whet the appetite so that people may say, wow, this is in my backyard. I want to come out and see this in person, because it's one thing to tape one individual session, but anytime that you encounter the cats, it's always slightly different. And that's part of the fun of being around them. It's part of the fun of learning from them.
Right. So explain to it now, let people know, if you wouldn't mind, just how are they going to be able to see what you just shared?
Certainly. So CFAR and Beyond is actually a partnership here with Positively Osceola, who's going to be carrying it on their sites. We're also going to be syndicating it to our site at beyond.cflir.org. So we'll have an online archive of that as well. We'll be seeing these episodes Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8:30 in the morning. And then interspersed between those days, we'll also be featuring some interviews where we have a chance to talk about some of the more detailed issues that surround big cats, and really do what we've always desired to do: engage people in a conversation that will ultimately lead them to a better understanding of this very unique world.
Yeah, I liked it as both in the morning and also those conversations were really, now I know that you and I were both there, so I remember them well. But in reality, those were very interesting conversations, because you have such a deep understanding of the big cats. You have such a history also with them. So I was intrigued to be able to hear what you were saying. So those will be on the Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we'll certainly be sharing more content about what you're doing out there in the whole time. And this, I don't think you said this. So it's going to be 3 weeks of where people can actually really learn quite a bit of what you're doing out there. So let's say that a family catches a couple weeks of this and they say, let's go out and get this, let's get this in a real life experience. Why don't you explain how that can happen for people?
Sure. So with some of the reopening, we are also reopening for tours in a slightly different format. We've always had a very small, intimate format where they've been guided tours. That will continue, but we are going to be limiting that tour size a little bit more. There's additional sanitation going on between tours, and everyone is on a scheduled tour time. It's not a free roaming sort of experience. That's what allows it to really be the educational opportunity. And so when you have your time, it really is your time, and it creates that same intimacy that you get to experience from the videos, but just in real life.
So when you meet, so when somebody comes out on a tour and is more interested in continuing some kind of a relationship with you guys out there, so how does volunteerism work with you?
Great question. So we are always in need of volunteers. And if you are over 18, then you have the opportunity to do on-site work. If you visit our website, it's volunteer.cflar.org. It gives you a great rundown of all the different things that can be done. And as I'm sure you'll hear us say at some point, there's no such thing as a useless person. Either supporting us off-site by being an advocate in the community, or coming on-site and learning the highly detailed farm work. It does take a whole village, and we are inviting people to be part of it.
And so I know that we discussed this on some of those interviews that people will have an opportunity to really listen to and watch. But why don't you give us a little bit of a rundown of how this all started, as far as where it's obviously in the we know it's on the eastern portions of Osceola County. So why don't you pass Holopaw if you're coming from St. Cloud? Explain to us, if you wouldn't mind, just a little bit of the history of how this all became where it is and what it is now.
It's been an amazing and interesting story of twists and turns. We moved into this new facility in July of 2017, and it was the culmination of nigh on 4 years of heavy-duty fundraising to raise the money that's necessary to build the place, but then also many decades before of so many different cats that are out there. And different stories, because so much has changed over the course of the time that we've been involved in the big cat world. You go way back to the beginning. The origins of the organization start way back in 1996. So we've been around since then. But 1996 is a lot longer ago than people think of. Classic example, in 1996, it would be 2 years before a little company called Google was founded. And Michael Jordan had just won his first championship after coming out of retirement the first time. So,
post baseball, right?
Exactly. A long time ago in the dark ages, there were still a lot of people out there that had cats as pets, cats that were in entertainment, but all very kind of quiet and secret all across the country. And as our education has gotten better, as the internet has burgeoned, as we've had multiple economic and social changes, that practice has not become something that has perpetuated over time. And so the story has changed now, where really seeking out appropriate homes is the central portion of what it is that the big cat story has to become and continues to become. While we look to the future, a future whereby somehow we can find a conservation answer, we are still challenged to deal with the remnants of what has happened in the past. And for us as an organization, for many organizations, we are part of a conservation strategy that sees multiple elements coming together, all for the benefit of big cats, no matter what the origins of their species, no matter what the origins of their circumstances.
I was most impressed by how the whole reserve is, the way it's set up. It's really, the word tour is, it's applicable for sure. It just feels very encounter-ish to me, where you're very much able to really witness what the big cats are doing, how they're living, how you care for them. The whole gamut of that is just really well done. So, highly recommend somebody who has an interest, somebody this is something they really want to come out and see. So you may have said this, and if you did, my apologies, but so given the COVID-19 scenario, so how does somebody set up a tour? I think you kind of maybe mentioned it, but go ahead and give that to us again. So how would somebody set up a tour right now? Sure.
So visit our website, or you can go directly to tours.cflar.org. And it will walk you through the process. It is an online booking process. And if you struggle with that at all, feel free to reach out to us via email or call us if necessary. And we will be able to help walk you through it. If you need to get some guidance, I know we're hitting on Facebook right now. So use the message function. We'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. And then we can find out what's going to be the best kind of encounter that you're interested in.
And we'll certainly put all those links on this, on this post as well. So what can we expect? And I guess we'll close after this. But so what can people expect this week? And who, if you're out in listening right now, who is this for? This CFAR and beyond. Who is this for? I know the intrigue for myself and my family was large. But so who would be somebody you'd want to make sure they experience this?
Well, I would like anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to engage the big cats, especially their local big cats in Osceola County, to engage it. That's for your families and kids. That's for anybody who needs to get out and have an outdoor adventure after being inside for several weeks. This really has something for everyone. And whether you're a beginner just trying to understand what these species are, or you happen to be very deeply involved in the philosophies of how humans and animals interact, there's something in this for you. And we would greatly welcome the opportunity to take it in the directions that the society will help us bring it.
Coming off of what you just said, the students are obviously in a place of distance learning and of virtual learning. And this is not virtual learning. This is real encounter learning. This is where somebody who's a very, very, somebody who's steeped in the information, both you and your lead educator, Kelly. It is real education. It's not virtual. That has its place. But I cannot think of a way to maximize this particular school learning year than to bring it back around to something very, very real and filled with passion. And so, it was an honor for us to come out and be able to be with you and Kelly for sure, and all the cats. So we highly recommend anybody who might be popping in here tonight, reach out to CFAR and bring your kids. You've been together for a while now and kind of cooped up. So like you said, get out there in real world, and what a great way to learn right now. Awesome way. Anything else you'd like to share before we sign off for the evening?
Well, we really thank everybody for the support that you've given us. It has been a wild time. And of course, us being a 501c3, like many other charities, we are trying to make sure that we can continue to close the gap that's been created by COVID-19.
Sure.
All of these efforts go to making sure that these cats have the best life. So we appreciate your support. Look forward to gaining more supporters, and we hope to share more stories about the cats in person when the time is right.
Well said. So we appreciate you very much and what you're doing in the community, and certainly for the cats. So tomorrow night, I guess if you haven't heard anybody out there, you can tune back into Positively Osceola's Facebook at 7:30, and myself and Dr. Wiltz will be in here and in more depth discussing CFAR and CFAR and beyond. So again, we thank you for being here tonight. We'll put all the information on this post. So if you would like to follow through and start looking to book a tour, this is an opportunity to do so. So thank you, Dr. Wiltz, very much for being here with us tonight.
Glad to be here.
All right. Again, this is Keith with Positively Osceola, along with Dr. Simba Wiltz from the Central Florida Animal Reserve. Together, we're making a positive difference in Osceola County. Have a good night, everybody.